Hello, everybody. Sorry. Welcome back to Food Positive, and today we're going to um look at nutrition and animal needs of poultry. So divergent breeding means that you breed poultry for a specific trait, like a specific outcome or characteristic. But because of this, they have divergent needs. So for nutrition, before hatch, everything is packed in. Everything is in the embryo within the egg, and there's no external sources of nutrients, and everything is packed. Energy sources from the yolk, which contains lipids and carbs, and the albumin, which is egg white, and egg yolk have protein, and the albumin water soluble, and the yolk is liposoluble. And the shell is calcium. The formation of the yolk cell produces digestive enzymes. A leontis is the embryo bladder and it secretes waste products. An amnion is physical protection of the embryo. And the significance is that it all comes from the mother. At the hatch, this is the start of the critical period. Chicks can actually survive on the yolk sac for up to a week, but if they do not eat, they will starve out. This is why photo schedules may be 20 to 24 hours to encourage eating and decrease progressively. So the energy is mostly from fat and oil. Amino acids, 9 out of 20, are essential for poultry, and vitamins A, D, and E that are essential. Um, so the vitamins are A, D, and E, minerals, phosphorus, calcium, and water. So levels of protein and consumption of amino acids are critical. These depend on growth rate and tissue deposition, like boilers and layers. Proteins are generated from vegetable sources. Amino acids can be synthetic or purified. Level of energy available controls feed intake, which impacts how much the animal eats and how much the ingredients are ingested depending on the formulation. So the more energy the animals have, the more energy the chicks have, the more food they will consume, and level of energy can be changed by incorporation of that, and energy requirements depend on environment. And for laying hens, calcium is super important. Need for extra calcium starts when sexual maturation begins. During the pullet stage, calcium will not be absorbed nor be waste. So instead, you should, in the plus stage, supplement with vitamin D because that is associated absorption, and calcium needs during egg cell formation. In typical diet, um, for chick startle, you have 18% protein. Pullet grower goes down to 16, and layer goes to 18. And for turkeys, they have a lot more. They have 28 for starter, 22 for grower, and 15 for finisher. Um, why do turkey diets stay higher in protein rates overall compared to chickens? Is because they're just so much bigger with high growth rates. Medications can be incorporated into feed and water, and antibiotics are used as a growth promoter, although it is now being phased out due to resistance of antimicrobials. So now we're going to need nutrition, ingredients, and feed formation. So we need nutrition for maintenance, growth, and reproduction. We get energy from fat, carbohydrates, and protein. And we have nitrogen and amino acids, 9 out of 20. We have the essential fatty acids. There's amino vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K and B. Water. So water is very important. Water must be clean. Pathogen and toxin free. Also must be cool. Poultry do not drink hot water. Rule of thumb: 2 to 3 liters per kilogram dry matter intake. This needs to be regularly tested. Filtration systems remove sediments and macromolecules. Chemical treatments rely on the use of acids, bleach, peroxides need to adjust pH. But one big problem is biofilm. Same thing as dental clay. Water lines must be flushed and cleaned between flocks. Ingredients and poultry diets. 60 to 80% is energy, 15 to 35% is proteins, 1 to 3% is macromolecules, and 0.5 is microminerals, minerals, not molecules, minerals and vitamins, additives. For energy, this is corn, barley, wheat, and rye. The metabolizable energy is the energy ingested minus energy excreted divided by the amount ingested. So barley contains 60% starch and 20% fiber. Corn contains 70% starch and 14% fiber. Rye is similar to corn to 70-14. Wheat is 94-96% energy content. Higher protein, so that's why they wheat is the best, but you choose depending on price, availability, blended feed, and use of pure fat oil. So for the proteins, you want to use a lot of the meals like canola oatmeal or soybean meal or meat meal. Soybean meal is most used, has the most high protein. Then is canola oil, then female and animal sources. Macrominerals like salt, calcium, phosphorus, they need minimum, but too much can be toxic. And then microminerals and vitamins like A, D, E, K. So it's A, D, E, K, P. Those are the vitamins. The health challenges. Intensive production equals higher risk. Concentration of a large number of animals equals increased transmission. So this basically means that the more animals there are together, the more transmissible the diseases could be. And I guess the more mutations they could have as well. So the main classes of health risks include parasites, viruses, bacteria, fungal endotoxins, and metabolic disorders. The role of environmental control, this is important, such as ventilation, temperature, humidity, and sanitation. How do you mitigate the risk? This is all about prevention. This includes vaccines when available, surveillance, biosecurity, and environmental control. So, environmental control is the ventilation, temperature, humidity, sanitation, and basically is all important because bulbs and heaters produce CO2, CO2, carbon monoxide for heaters, but bulbs produce humidity, evaporate into breathing and manure. Manure later produces ammonia, especially when wet, which is an irritant for the respiratory system, lungs, eyes, and feet. Dust particles can enter the lungs. Requirements include humidity between 55 to 65%, ammonia less than 20 ppm, CO2 less than 5,000 ppm. So there's ventilation. There's three main types. There's longitudinal, tunnel, and cross. There's also little moisture, and it should be between 30 to 70% when moist. When too dry, it increases small dust particles that get inhaled may interfere with specific vaccines that rely on cycling of the pairs. When too high, this is the ammonia levels. This is when the ammonia levels are the problem in bacteria and foot dermatolysis. Domestic. And also types of bedding. The most popular bedding is pine wood stick. Very good for moisture control. Parasites. Coccidiosis caused by protozoa is found in the soil and everywhere on the planet and is transmitted through fecal material. Colonizes the digestive system, causing major damage to mucosa. Vaccination is the best decision. So parasites is the first type of problem, and basically, parasites come from the soil and goes into the digestive system. And vaccines are the best. Then there's Newcastle disease. Newcastle disease is highly contagious and passes through droppings and respiratory discharge. It targets the airway and lungs with discharge. The high mortality rate with no cure and twisted neck is what the neurological damage is. And there's infectious bronchitis. This is caused by an airborne coronavirus and only affects chicken, no other poultry. There's a high mortality in young influenza laryngitis, infectious laryngotracheitis, ILT. Herpes virus, with only one stereotype known, is a respiratory virus and can be carried from farm to farm. And avian influenza, this varies in severity. Transmissions airborne versus particles to the respiratory tract, dropping and surface. People carrying the virus. Most of the outtake is H5N1 and highly pathogenic. Adults can be positive from consuming infected bugs. The biggest risk is virus mutates to acquire the ability to infect and be transmitted by mammals, including humans. No, here, no, vaccines equals automatic depopulation. And it's bacterial infections, both varicella from beta chicken, vertical maybe, and horizontal between birds. Yeah, often result in parasites viral infections. Contaminated feed might cause the use of mold, fungi, plants, so basically mold and fungi on. Chapter 8, Health Management and Preparedness. This is all about prevention, like we said earlier. So for broilers, we have to clean up the barn, equipment, wire lines, and all time. Built up little may become a pathogen incubator, or to control the humidity and ammonia levels need to ensure sufficient downtime. The special management includes removing the cake litter, conditioning the litter to help release ammonia, providing the barn with adequate ventilation, allowing to use time. So what they basically do is you remove the cake litter, but you keep the bedding stuff underneath, but you remove the cake litter. For layers, it requires all farmers adhere to their own on-farm safety program, least a dry clean between flocks, but some producers opt to complete a wet clean after each flock. Barns must be empty for a minimum of 7 days between flocks. Wet versus dry cleaning. Dry cleaning is a physical removal of organic material. And wet cleaning is using pressure washing to remove organic material. But this needs rapid drying to prevent bacterial growth. What is the most effective is dry cleaning than wet cleaning. But dry cleaning is also a lot of work. What is effective in terms of disinfection? Most effective towards lipid and virus parasites, least effective towards parasites. Vaccination. Vaccination protocols. Social hatcheries can provide first round of vaccines, but the rest is done on following guidelines. Similar to humans, boosters are required for best effectiveness. Biosecurity. The goal is to prevent entry pathogens in the barn and prevent the spread of pathogens that are present in the barn. All industry partners need to comply. The cycle of biosecurity activities include assess, plan, implement, and monitor. Assess, plan, implement, and monitor. How can you ensure your barn has effective biosecurity? Control access to premises, has control in place, ensure barns are locked, and have clear instructions for visitors. So you have to control access to premises, has control, law of barns, and visitors. What is that? Alternative depopulation. Lecture 12, Housing Systems for Poultry. Affecting housing systems include thermal comfort, control lighting, automatic feeding, automated water, manure handling, automated egg collection, and egg hygiene and air quality. In Canada, most poultry barns are mechanically ventilated closed barns. Divergent breeding involves breeders producing laying hens for production, and breeders producing broilers for meat production, where housing is designed for these specific types of poultry. So, there are all the kinds of jungle fowl. Basically, they're all descended from jungle fowl. And looking back, jungle fowl behavioral biology is the ground-dwelling species that live in small, stable societal groups. One male with several females in their chicks. Regular roosting site and foraging area. Chickens recognize other individuals and maintain a pecking order. Hens build a nest to lay a bunch of eggs. Chicks are pre-social, meaning they can walk, feed, and think immediately after hatching. What about domesticated chickens? Retain the majority of wild-type behaviors except for abortiveness and incubation. Thresholds have changed. How much they perform different behaviors. How much they perform the behaviors have changed, but their behaviors are still the same. Four behavioral needs. Nesting, poaching, dust bathing, foraging. So there's nesting, poaching, dust bathing, and foraging. Housing system for laying hens. Conventional cages, so these are being phased out. They're just small wire enclosures with feeders, drinkers, and slope floor for eggs to roll onto an egg box. The manure belt is located under the cage. So this is being phased out in Canada. It's really bad. Furnished caged are much better. They provide next box, porches, and a little area for scratching and dust bathing. Photo requirements. Floor space greater than conventional. Nest space, porches, scratchment. Pros include provide health and hygiene benefits in conventional cages, such as more space, increased bone strength furnishings, and some support the heavier paddles supporting to him. Non-cage systems like cage free and free one. These are single-tied non-cage bonds, multi-tiered non-cage bonds like aviaries. They have floor space, nest space, pushes little. Cons include area becomes crowded with supply. Little leads to poor air quality height. Outdoor is pros include more space opportunities engaging in full range behavior. Cons include session accesses and institutional can further helping the feeling. Housing systems for layer pullets. So these have conventional rearing cages. Chicks and pullets designed for conventional cages are typically reared in small cages. They serve on paper. Temperature and lighting adjust as the birds grow. Non-cage systems, such as single-tier floor barns and rearing aviaries. Single-tier floor barns, chicks and pullets are destined for single-tier cages. Little fools pushes sometimes, and temperature and lighting are adjusted as the birds grow. Rearing aviaries. Hens housed in complex aviaries must be reared in for breeders. Non-cage systems. So we have single-tiered non-cage barns, automatic areas, no porches. And basically, we have conventional cages being phased out. We have furnished cages, which is better. It's like conventional cages, but a lot more humane. And then we have free range, cage free one. And aviaries and yeah, free one. Lecture 14. Welfare issues for poultry. What is the definition of animal welfare? The physical and mental state of an animal in relation to the conditions in which it lives and dies. Animal welfare means how an animal is coping with the conditions it lives. An animal in a state of good welfare is healthy, comfortable, well-nourished, safe, able to embrace innate behavior, and not suffering from unpleasant states such as pain, fear, distress, the 5 freedoms. Key welfare issues. Housing environments that restrict movement and expression of innate behavior. Health problems resulting from genetic selection for extreme phenotypes. Practices that cause pain or distress. Priority welfare issues, laying hens. Housing, injurious pecking, feather pecking occurs in all types of housing systems, causing feather damage, pain, and discomfort, as well as reduced economic efficiency. There's beak trimming, so injurious pecking is bad, beak trimming is bad, and bone death. So a welfare issue to solve. A welfare issue is really bad, and a bone health major problem in the laying hens and bone fractures. So the sternum is the site of muscle attached to the wing. Painful hands and injury from falls and collisions. So for broilers, there's also housing selection for both. So this the both broiler growth rate has increased more than 400% from 1957 to 2005, and they have high breast meat yield. So this is really bad. It causes reduced mobility, which causes pain, discomfort, altered ammonia, blunts, and difficult reaching food and water. Then they have feed restriction of breeding stock. Parents have selected for high appetite and price growth. They're allowed to eat bigger upside. They will develop health and reproductive problems. Up to 75% feed intake restricts so they're fed daily or skip the day. And feed restriction. There's aggression at feeding as well. So lecture 14. Poultry welfare for broilers, transport to slaughter and slaughter policy in Canada. The transport and slaughter. So we have rearing, transportation, layawage, shackling, stunning, neck cutting, scalding, asphyxiation, washing, killing, packaging. Um, so transportation includes catching, loading, and trucking. Catching collects the birds at night. Loading to the trucking time and has transport that pay based on carcass quality, depending on physical damage or induced quality issues. Catching transport. So it's wheeling, transportation, catching, loading, trucking, shackling, and stunning. So the blinders blows unconscious before cutting their throats for bleeding. That's what temple grand and stunning. So atmosphere salinity too. They're shackled after unconscious. And animal care assessment when we record rafters, animal care, flock care, egg products. A hot topic, why change things? Technology landscape evolves. The biggest advancement are in automation and the digitalization of environment control. Price and specific commodities change. Although supply and demand responsibility does not control global commodity markets, the primary cost of production is animal feed. Consumer demands expectations change. The animal welfare activism has been wearing awareness among the public. The next decades will focus on environmental activism. Health risks. All pathogens are still here. They're becoming resistant to our traditional tools. New pathogens are emerging. As long as we maintain a spine system, not going to maintain particular. Thank you for watching. This was my second half of my poultry from all the way from nutrition to animal welfare. Thank you. Bye.